It's news time. Information is power. Be current. The news headline: I never give beggars in the street money. It is a syndicate. They work for someone, man says. Begging, also known as panhandling, is the activity of begging others for favor, usually a financial present, with little or no expectations of return. A beggar or panhandler is someone who does this. Beggars may be found in public venues such as bars, train stations, parks, and markets. They may also request for food, cigarettes, or other minor items in addition to money. The difference between beggars and religious mendicants is that some mendicants do not ask for money in exchange for their survival. They provide society with various forms of religious service, moral teaching, and cultural preservations. Beggars have been part of human society since the beginning of recorded history. Street begging is a common occurrence in most countries around the world, but the popularity and exact nature of the practice vary. Some people advise giving gifts, cards, or vouchers for food or services rather than cash to beggars because they are concerned that the money would be used to support alcohol or drug misuse. Some shelters also provide business cards that contains information about the shelter's location and services and can be donated instead of cash. Like in every other country, South Africa has its fair share of people who beg for money in the streets, and many of those who appear to be very poor and in need. Some of them to be people who are disabled. Some of them even large families with their family children, and they accept any amount of money given to them. But according to a social media user who claims that these beggars are not really poor and that they are working for someone, some of them became upset when you offer them anything besides money. And some people have had experiences where they were insulted by this big ass because they do not need any kind of food and all they want is money. This is what the social media user said of recent. I never give beggar money. It is a syndicate. They drop them off on various corners with a back key and collect them later. They are working for someone. And there has been different kind of thinking that the social media user might not be telling the truth about beggars, where he says that, where other commenters says that once says I once gave them food and I was cursed and insulted. The guy even said, do I look hungry? I had to apologize and food was thrown back to me. I just mind my business. Ever since then, I stopped, engaging in such attitude. And there has been so many issues around, so many stories in the same vein, where one says that those one lady at Polokwane, especially at petrol stations, she work with other people who will collect that money in the toilet since, well, she has a broken leg and this other guy wanted to take her for medical attention and she said no. And another says that once that he saw a blind guy moved out on his way and was going to move out on his way, and he was so shocked that the same person who appears disabled could do that behind the scene. That his rights were grossly violated, a situation that led him to seek the intervention of the courts. He prayed the court to grant all the relief his client sought in the suit, among which included the declaration of his confinement in Nasarawa State as illegal. However, all the respondents, through their respective lawyers, urged the court to dismiss the suit for want of jurisdiction. Counsel to the IGP, Mr. Victor Okoye, further challenged the competence of the court, noting that the instrument conveying Sanusi's banishment was authored and endorsed by an official of the Kano State government. It therefore urged that the applicant ought to have filed the case before a Kano State High Court. Likewise, counsel to the DG of the DSS, Godwin Agbadua, urged the court to strike out the suit on the grounds that the alleged right violation occurred in Kano, stressing that there is a federal high court in Kano before which Sanusi could seek redress. On his part, the Attorney General of Kano State, who was represented by Musa Mohammed, also challenged the jurisdiction of the court in Abuja to entertain the case. He urged the court to dismiss the suit in its entirety for want of jurisdiction and competence. Meanwhile, reacting to the judgment, the Kano State AG, through the lawyer that represented him in court on Tuesday, Abdul Salam Saleh, said that they would study it properly and decide on the next line of action. We will look at the judgment critically and consult our client, Kano State government, on whether we will appeal against it or not, Saleh told the newsman. And this is the news about the Emir of Kano, the former Emir of Kano, actually now, that is Lamido Sanusi, who at a point in time, remember last year, while he was, dethroned by the Kano State government of being the Emir of the state, that is Kaduna State, and this happened, remember, in March 9, 2020, after he was accused of disloyalty and insubordination. He was deposed as the Emir and banished to local village in Nasarawa State after a dethronement. Later, he was forcefully moved to Awe Town, where he was confined until March 13, 2020, before the court ordered that he should be granted his freedom. Sanusi actually accepted his fate as the will of God. However, he approached the court to query the legality of his confinement in Nasarawa State because they told him not to move around, in Kano State again. And it was cited, that people that will respond to this, the Inspector General of Police, the Director General of the State Security Service DSS, Attorney General of Kano State, and the Attorney General of the Federation. And while adopting his final brief of argument, Abubakar Mahmoud Sanusi's lawyer actually told the court that his client, that is Sanusi Lamido, was not even before the court of law to argue about his dethronement or asking for any restatement of any kind. But what he is after is that he should be able to live to his fundamental human right, that is freedom to move anywhere he likes in Nigeria, and prayed to the court that they should grant him his freedom, and also to ensure that all the degrading treatment that his client Sanusi Lamido was given, that they have to actually pay for it. And he prayed that the court should relieve his client, which included the declaration of his confinement in Nasarawa State as illegal. And the respondents, through their respective lawyers, urged the court to dismiss the suit for want of jurisdiction. The counsel to the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Victor Okoye, further challenged the competence of the suit, noting that the instrument conveying Sanusi's banishment was authored and endorsed by an official of the Kano State government. He therefore argued that the applicant ought to have filed the case before a Kano State High Court. Likewise, counsel to the Director General of the DSS, Godin Agbadua, urged the court to strike out the suit on the grounds that the alleged rights violation occurred in Kano, stressing that there is a federal high court in Kano as well, before which Sanusi could seek redress. And on his part, the Attorney General of Kano State, who was represented by Musa Mohammed, also challenged the decision of the court in Abuja to entertain the case. He urged the court to dismiss the suit in its entirety for want of jurisdiction and competence. Meanwhile, the Kano State Attorney General, through the lawyer represented him in court on Tuesday, Abdusalam Saleh, said that they will study it properly and decide on the next line of action. However, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has still, asked Kano State government to tender apology to the dethroned Emir of Kano, Lamido Sanusi, in 2 national dailies. And also, they have awarded Sanusi Lamido damages against Kano State, to the tune of 10 million naira. Thanks for listening.